Hello class, my name is Oscar Mendoza, and the claim that I'm refuting or responding to is that if Alabama's obesity tax was implemented federally in the United States, that it would benefit Americans. The opponent's secondary claims are: one, that the obesity tax would lengthen American lives because obesity itself can cause heart attacks, strokes, etc. So the tax will create the incentive. Two, the obesity tax will promote a positive mood in individuals because a regimen of regular exercise regulates hormones which can improve their mood and brain activity. And three, that the obesity tax improves the healthcare system and the economy, according to because according to the Division of Health Economics Research, they determined that in 2003 the cost for obesity-related expenditures accumulated to $75 billion, and in 2008, $147 billion. It costs like medication, treatment, and gas, and public transportation, and things like that. So, a few evidence challenges I have for my opponent, if you will, for my opponent's secondary claims, would be that when my opponent starts off his speech by saying that in 2008 the government implemented a tax in Alabama for people who are obese, which the actual case was that the Alabama implemented a tax on certain employees, on 37,000 employees that were considered obese, which were charged an extra $25 per month for health insurance. Also, there was no statistics on an outcome of this tax in Alabama that was implemented in 2008. Did it provide an incentive for them to lose weight? Did they lose weight? I don't know. Also, my opponent mentions in supporting one of his claims how obesity can be depressing to the individuals who are obese because of them being teased, he mentioned, bullied, or because of them being subconscious of themselves. But there wasn't any provided evidence of any examples of why this is true. Now, a reasoning challenge for my opponent's claims is when he claims how harmful obesity actually is to the human. And although he makes it clear that it is harmful, providing different evidence and statistics, his only proposal of finding the solution was that of a tax that no one knows will work or not. Like, why will paying $25 extra a month really provide the incentive to lose weight for these obese people? This also causes a problem in how he mentions that the obesity tax will help the economy, and he states that all the money being spent because of the obese-related expenses in the U.S., but there is no explanation on why the tax on the obese people will help with the expenses. Is the $25 a month going towards the expenses themselves, or is it the fact that my opponent thinks that the tax will provide the incentive for the obese people to lose weight? Finally, a counterclaim for my opponent is when he claims that obesity has a direct link to depression, but doesn't state why. In fact, researchers at Macaster University in Canada investigated whether there was a link between obesity and depression. They found the opposite to be true. The FTO gene, also known as the fat gene, which is a major contributor to obesity in an individual and is in most obese people today. The study analyzed over 17,000 DNA samples from participants from over 21 different countries. And the study confirmed that those previously identified with the FTO gene, the fat gene, showed significantly less signs of depression. In fact, there were 12% more non-obese individuals who showed signs of depression than the actual obese individuals. Thank you.
All right, the main issues are laid out clearly at the beginning. I think you spend a little too much time reviewing what the evidence was on each of those points. Wait to respond to that when you're going to do so in the body of the argument. I think that would work better. You basically, instead of following the structure of the advocate, just follow a structure of, well, what are the evidence challenges, what are the reasoning challenges, and what are the counterclaims, and then hopefully you'll be able to apply those to arguments later on. I think that's going to be a little bit confusing, and it's one of the reasons I tried to convince people not to do exactly what you just did, organize your arguments by the type of response that you're doing, and instead follow the organizational structure of the advocate. So I think you have some good presses on the individual points, but the application is not as clear because of this organizational structure that you've got. That's especially true on the first and the second point. On the third point, which is your counterclaim, you actually have a piece of evidence that responds to that, and since it is very particular to one of the claims that the advocate presented, I don't think we get lost on it. But let's think about this. The inference seems to be that at one point that all these people have this fat gene. Look, if they've got the so-called fat gene, what is I think there's a good challenge here on reasoning to make also. If the source of their problem is genetic in nature, then the likelihood that a $25 surcharge is going to make a difference seems relatively small. So in addition to making the argument that you're making with this, it seems like there's a pretty obvious argument to make that suggests that there's counter-causality on this, and that the decision-making of these people, because of the extra fee that they're going to pay on their insurance or taxes or whatever it gets called, is unlikely to be able to alter anything because they're genetically predisposed to this. And I think you kind of missed that point. You do a nice job of explaining the arguments, but like I said, most of them are simple presses on the first 2 points. All right, thank you.